Woohoo! Thank God it's Friday. All right, so last week I spoke to you guys about, told you I was going to get into the food aspect of things. And I got into soy, and then a lot of people started asking me, well, you mentioned gluten and blah, 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 and I wanted to know about gluten. So today I thought I would start getting into gluten. I'm Marie. I'm here at A Place to Heal. And today I want to talk about the whole gluten racket that is going on. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's a racket. I'm sharing my story with you. I'm teaching you this is not a diet. I don't even want you to think of the word diet. Forget the word diet, because the first three letters in diet is you got it. So I don't like to think of diets. I like to think of that I'm healing and nourishing my cells. And I'm trying to tell you my story because I want to teach you how to nourish your cells and stop killing them off. So that way you can get healthy, because this isn't about diet. If you know anything about detoxification, if you know anything about getting healthy, you know that it's all about a bunch of cells and two fluids. It's about your blood, it's about your lymphatic fluid, and it's about all those cells that need to get healthy and need to reproduce healthily, so that, I don't know if that's a word, in order for you to become healthy. Because every time a healthy cell reproduces another healthy cell, you keep getting healthier and you keep getting healthier. So, you know, and this is no different. If someone came up to your house tomorrow and said, here's the keys to a brand new Lamborghini, you wouldn't sit there and say, all right, well, I'm just going to throw some nasty ass rancid oil into the gas tank and expect to run the car. It's not going to happen. But, you know, I mean, that's a beautiful high-end machine. You would find out how to treat it, exactly what to put into it, how to run it correctly, how to do its maintenance. But yet we don't do the same thing with our own body. This is a high-end machine. It needs to be treated correctly. It needs the right nutrients. It needs the right foods. You cannot expect to go down to McDonald's, get a whole bunch of nasty fries that are full of rancid oil, throw it into your gas tank, and expect to run for very long. That is just not going to happen. So I want to start teaching you guys how to properly nourish your cells, proper cell nutrition, because that's where it's at, is alkaline foods and how to heal your cells. So I hear a lot of people saying that they're gluten sensitive. This is like the new trend right now, gluten sensitive. I can't touch gluten. You know, I can't, oh no, my doctor tells me that I'm now gluten sensitive, so I can't touch gluten. You know what? That's a bunch of hogwash. There are different sensitivities to gluten. You know, you start down here where you may only be very sensitive to gluten, or you could be way up here where you have celiac disease and you are extremely, extremely sensitive to gluten. So to me, that's also a racket. There is no such thing as gluten sensitivity. Everyone is allergic to gluten. There is no sensitivity to it. There's allergies to it, because we were never meant to put this substance into our body. One thing that I do want to let you guys know, a lot of people aren't aware of this for some reason, it just it doesn't kind of hit home, is that gluten-free does not mean that it is organic or GMO free. And on the other end of the coin, organic does not mean that it does not have gluten in it. So you really have to look at all the wording that they are throwing at you lately, because that's three different things. I mean, you can have something that is gluten-free, that is not organic. You can have something that's organic, that is not gluten-free. You can buy organic oatmeal, but it does not mean that it does not have gluten in it. So you really need to watch all the wording out there, because they're doing this to confuse everyone, because they're like, if we confuse them enough, they're not going to figure it out. They're not going to be there. You're just so confused. I recently went to a supermarket, and it's one of the bigger chain health food stores, and they had like organic avocados and non-organic avocados, and they had organic this and GMO this, non-GMO this, and I got to the point where I said, forget this. I'm going to my little store up the road here where everything is organic. I don't have to confuse myself and on, because that's actually what they're looking for. They're looking to confuse you, because in the confusion, they can slip things under the door to you a little easier. And then another thing to remember is that when you have something that is gluten-free, when they have removed the gluten out of it, they are going to put food coloring into it. Because, gluten is a binder, okay? First of all, gluten is not even a food. It's not. It's a binder that they put in food, okay? Kind of like starch. As a matter of fact, they are actually telling it right to your face. It's right in front of you. Gluten. It's a ton of glue that they're putting in your food, and it binds the food together. And when they do stuff that is gluten-free, when they take the gluten out, they are putting food coloring in, they are putting soy in, they're putting other binders in. So when you're buying stuff that is gluten-free, you better read those labels, because they're taking some stuff out, but they got to replace it somehow. I mean, that's just the way that it works. And gluten normally comes in packages. You're not going to see gluten in vegetables. You're not going to see gluten in fruits. You're not going to see gluten in God-made things. You're going to see them in man-made things. So anything that comes out of a factory that's in a package is more likely to have gluten, because the natural stuff does not. I mean, I don't ever have to pick up an apple and go, gee, I wonder if this apple has gluten in it or not. Oh, I wonder if this banana has gluten in it or not. If it's a fruit or a vegetable, it's not going to have gluten in it. It's going to be free of gluten, and it's also going to be free of other fillers, because they didn't have to take the gluten out of it to put the other stuff in. Gluten-free has now become a fashion statement. It's like you go into the store and you go, oh, I'm gluten-free. It's almost like wearing a fur coat. It's almost like wearing Gucci. It's almost like wearing Prada. It's hilarious, Everybody, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, yes, I am gluten-free. And it's like, okay, please. Everyone is gluten sensitive, and everyone should be gluten-free. Because now studies say that only 1% of the population is affected by gluten. All right, so me, I like doing my research. So I went and did my research, and this is what I found. Okay, so the American Dietetic Association says this about gluten. It says you should not give up gluten. You should not give it up, because if you give it up, you would have to give up breads, crackers, cereals, pastries, pastas, and processed foods, because we all know all that stuff is so wonderful for us. And anytime you eliminate whole categories of food, you run the risk of nutritional deficiencies. That is coming from the American Dietetic Association. So let me tell you, there is nothing worse that you can put into your body than breads, crackers, cereals, pastas, pastries, and processed foods. Okay, that's coming from me. Now, I went and found out what the researchers on gluten are finding out, and this is what I came up with. Researchers have now deemed gluten a hard-to-digest poison. Intestinal cells are not equipped to break it down or assimilate it. Also, gluten proteins seem to be resistant to most of the pancreatic enzymes that are wired for protein and digestion. Let me explain to you what that means. The pancreas has a bunch of enzymes, and those enzymes are designed to do a bunch of different functions. One of the functions of those enzymes is to look for dead cells or retarded cells or any kind of cells that are abnormal. Okay, if your pancreatic enzymes are too busy looking for the gluten and going, oh, this doesn't belong in the body. Oh, wait a minute, okay. It's so busy taking care of that it's not taking care of your damaged cells. If it's too busy taking care of the gluten, over time, those damaged cells are going around it and bypassing it, and they're not getting to it. And eventually, guess what all those damaged cells are going to do? They're going to clump together. And when they clump together, you're going to end up with cancer. So you want your pancreas to do what it's supposed to do. You don't want it busy, keeping track of what the right hand is doing so that it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, and that's take care of the left hand. So that is very, very important. Now next, researchers and doctors that are researching gluten have found out and proven that gluten releases a chemical called zonulin, which controls the bond between the cells and the intestinal tract. The more undigested gluten, the more zonulin is produced, which increases the likelihood of leaky gut syndrome and excessive intestinal permeability. Now, by the time you have problems with your permeability in your gut, and before you ever acquire leaky gut syndrome, you're going to acquire ulcers, and you're going to acquire irritable bowel syndrome, because it's going to go in an order. When you have so much gluten that's collected in your intestines, it's going to cause irritable bowel syndrome. And then it's going to cause leaky gut, and then it's going to cause diverculitis, and then it's going to finally, you're going to have the permeability problem, which just basically means that it's going to start sagging. Now, for those of you out there who says, well, I don't know if I'm going to have a permeability problem or not. If you have ever suffered from hernias, that is a permeability problem. That's already started to tell you there is a permeability problem in your intestines. So, I know there's a lot of you that sit there and go, well, Marie, you didn't touch on this, and Marie, you didn't touch on that. I'm trying to keep these videos, preferably under 15 minutes so that I can get this information to you like this. You can understand. And I know that my followers are highly intelligent, or they wouldn't be watching me. But I know you're intelligent out there. So I know that all I need to do is give you that crumb, and you're going to take off with it, and you're going to study it, and you're going to look it up, and you're going to Google it. And I know that you're going to find all the answers for yourself. So if I have not covered everything, I know you're going to cover the rest. And please feel free to comment underneath my videos. If I forgot anything, please let the other viewers know with your comments, hey, gluten is also this, and this. I have no problems with that, because the more we share, the more we educate, the smarter we get. And, and like they used to say, when I was growing up, remember that little Saturday little cartoon? It's like the more you know, the more you grow, and the more you grow, there's strength in numbers, and that's what we're looking for. Okay, so I want you to really, really concentrate on the mumbo jumbo, okay? Because gasoline and propane are also gluten-free, but I wouldn't put those in my body. And also look for hidden gluten. This is full of gluten. So when you go, you just swallowed a bunch of gluten into your tummy. Now really, is that really what you want to put into your stomach? I mean, you know what it does to an envelope. It seals that puppy shut. That's exactly what's doing in your stomach. All right, till next week, and we hit another food source. Please stay happy, stay healthy. Pay attention to the words. Don't lick any envelopes. And love one another and take care of one another, and especially yourself. Bye-bye.